did you wanted to know what are my early impressions of Industries of Titan? No? Well, I'm gonna talk about them anyhow.
Not your professional walkthroughs channel presents.
Now please note that since the game is out just for a few days, and it's only available on Epic Store, most of these things might be subject to a change. So please keep that in mind. Number 1. Map on which you play. Now when it comes to setting up your corporation, you have so far only one faction to choose from, but you have already 3 possible scenarios plus map generator to put out a seed for a map you might be willing to try and work with, which will give you a lot of room to test out the game. And we all have that one crazy friend who goes for the super difficult map layout and always manages to beat the game anyhow, so this is a great addition to the early stages of the game. Number 2. Resources. Overall, the game contains a large amount of resources already. Minerals are your basic building material used for buildings and interior structures. These can be obtained either by demolishing old structures or by coming across surface deposits. Isotopes, which are your more advanced and rarer materials. These are mostly utilized in order for you to construct a brand new building. Also, these are obtained from demolishing old structures or by coming across surface deposits. Influence points. Influence is acquired over time by your corporation running. What influence allows you to do is to obtain a new land where you can then expand your overall industry empire. Artifacts. Artifacts are one of the most rare items which you can come across in the old abandoned structures. You will always need to survey a building before you are able to take it apart for either the materials or the artifacts. If you choose materials, you are losing artifacts, and the other way around. So you will need to consider which building is worth taking apart for artifact and which building is worth taking apart for the resources. As coming across, for example, isotopes at the start of the game might be a bit more difficult, and you will need to build those additional buildings to ramp up your overall production. Waste. Now, waste is on the other side of all of these resources. This resource is acquired by you demolishing the old structures and by potentially transforming your population into your employees. You see, after you brainwash the poor people, they might feel a bit dizzy and they might have also an accident or two. So you're gonna have to store it, you're gonna have to burn it, and because there are specific buildings which dispose of the waste, you will need to put them away from your population because these produce pollution, and pollution can affect the health of your population. However, here I have to praise the creators of the game with their genius concept of how the fuel is generated. You see, later in the game, when you will get your hands on certain blueprints, you will come across buildings which take more toxic air and turn it into the fuel. As when you start off the game, you will get a basic instruction about the fact that the atmosphere is toxic and flammable enough in order to produce fuel on its own.
Hey founder, I checked inventory and we don't have enough fuel. We need fuel to generate energy for our building buildings and devices. Luckily, there's fuel all around us in the air. Titan's air is so toxic, it contains many flammable substances we can burn for energy. So, build a fuel fabrication device in your headquarters, or in a factory.
Credits are the last commodity, and these are generated by your population. Credits are important because they allow you to purchase blueprints for new buildings, and you will need these buildings as at the start of the game you only start off with few blueprints, and of course as the game later on changes, this might be also affected with how many blueprints are we potentially looking at. Interior space management. Number 3. You see, you will be working with multiple buildings. Each of these has a different interior grid to work with, because you will need somewhere to put the fuel reserves or power generators. You always start with your HQ. HQ has an 8x8 layout, so we are working with 64 tiles. Compared to that, your factory, once constructed, has layout 10x10. Therefore, factory is definitely a better thing to use when it comes to potentially constructing some of those more heavy-duty industrial constructions. And you will also need to accommodate your population inside, as apparently the game makes a joke out of that people don't mind someone else working behind their backs. But I will leave that up to you. Now, since this is, however, early impressions, I will leave the rest of the buildings alone for you to explore, or potentially maybe check out some of the videos on internet to find out more. I have checked the wiki page on your behalf, and so far there are unfortunately no blueprints available. You see, when it will come to the efficiency of this game and how to run the industry in the best possible fashion, I'm quite sure the wiki page of the Industries of Titan will get populated with lots and lots of layouts. So we are potentially looking at something like the Anno games, where the most efficient layout will ensure the most efficient use of space and the best potential outcome when it comes to resource management. Number 4. Combat. You see, as you are working for the man and you are running a business, you will be battling against the rebels. Now, your base will be attacked and your buildings can get damaged. Credits are used in order to fix them, and if you would lose your HQ, it's a game over for you. Some of the trailers are also showing constructions of vessels, therefore there might be later game potential for shipyards that would build your own flotilla of spaceships to defend or battle the rebels. Number 5. My overall opinion of the game so far. Now, I have to admit that after I played the game for the first time, I was able to learn the basic inner mechanics of the current state of the game, especially since they are making a lot of jokes when it comes to this platform specifically and how you earn money, and also some other things. On my second playthrough, I was able to get a lot further than the previous time. Now, the game will still be giving out the tutorials for you, and if you follow them, they will allow you to, at certain points, get to certain stages of the game. The cool thing is, however, that you can also potentially ignore some of these steps, so you are not necessarily bound by them, and you can construct however you wish. But it's good to plan out where you want to go. Therefore, if you are watching till this point, my overall tips for the game when you start over is to survey all the surrounding structures and try to determine the way towards which you will start utilizing the influence point of expansion for your industry. You see, this will tremendously affect your overall gameplay experience, as if you manage to build, for example, away from the surface resources like minerals or isotopes, you might be highly limited in what you might be able to construct, and you will have to wait till you acquire enough influence points in order to take apart multiple old structures. So keep that in mind. Now, I did not come across, when it comes to this stage of the game, across any major bugs or glitches. Sure, the audio or the intro animation or video tends to screw up on me, but I'm working with a highly limited hardware at this time. So it might be just related to my case, so you might have totally nice time playing this game. I did not experience any game crashes or anything which would freeze or anything like that, so far I have to really give a hand to the developer studio for putting out such a good product. Now, I will be watching the game closely. Potentially I will try to consider making some video when it comes to layouts, and who knows, if you like the video, maybe consider subscribing for the following features, which I might consider publishing for the channel, or just check out the channel on its own. I have a bunch of videos and topics here already covered, so who knows. But till the next time, this is Max from Not Your Professional Walkthroughs channel, wishing you a pleasant gaming experience wherever you may be, and stay safe, people. Stay safe.